Hi there, and welcome to another numbers episode of Apple a Day. Today, we're going to be creating this log sheet using Apple numbers. I'll be going over the basic setup, showing you how to use a pop-up menu, as well as creating a simple formula. So let's get started. As you can see here, I've already got the Choose a Template window open, and this window appears when you select New from the File menu in Apple numbers. I'm going to choose a blank document and press Create. The first thing I want to do is set up the global default for the text formatting. So I'm going to choose the entire table simply by clicking on this circle icon on the top left. And over on the Format panel on the right, I'm going to go to Text. And I'm going to choose Align Text to Left. And I also want to change it to Align Text to Center, which basically centers the text vertically within the cell. And at the same time, you want to make sure Wrap Text in Cell is turned on, which it already is. So as you're entering in details, the cell will automatically grow in height as the text goes from line to line if it's too big to fit. Now switching over to the layout section here, I always like a little bit more space surrounding the text in the cells. So to demonstrate this better, I'll put some text into the first column. I'll type in the column title for that, which I know is going to be date. And then I need to reselect the entire table again. So I'm going to click on this circle one more time. So now I know the whole thing's selected. So if I go to text inset, it's already set to 4 points by default. And as you can see, when I increase the value, the cells become bigger. And you can see that it's now adding 14 points all the way around. That's obviously too much. I just wanted to bump it up from 4 to 5, just to give it a little more breathing room. Obviously, you can adjust this to any value you like. But like I said, I'm going to leave mine at 5. Then I'm going to go over to the Table tab. I always like to turn on alternating row color. I find that makes tables a little easier to view. So the next thing I want to do is finish adding the column headings. So we already have date in there. So in the second column, I'm going to put in type. And the third column, time, and then customer, and then reference, and then details. I don't need this last column, so I'm just going to select it. And under this drop-down menu, I'm going to select delete column. And I'll also make details a little bit wider. Okay, now let's set the formatting of the date column. So I'll just click on the column itself, which is the A, and it selects the entire column. And over on the Format panel, I'll select Cell. And here's where we choose the data format of the column. Right now it's set to automatic. We want to force this to be date and time. And for date, I want to see the actual day of the week as well as the month. So I'm going to choose this one here, where it has a short form version of the day, month, and year. Now we don't need the time, so we're just going to set this to none. So I'm going to go over to the first cell in date, and I'm going to type in today's date, and it is October 21st. So if I hit return, it should reformat this to the format I specified, which is the short form of day, month, and year. And there we go. Today is Saturday, October 21st, 2023. That's all we have to do for date. The next column we're going to format is the type column. So here we're going to use the pop-up control, because the pop-up control, also known as a drop-down menu, shows me a finite list of types that we can choose from. So in this type column, which could really be called a category or log event, anything to describe what it is that you're actually doing. Obviously, you'll be adjusting these types to be more specific to your job function, but what I'll be putting in is a pretty good starting point. I'll just click on B to select the entire column. Well, actually, before we change the data format for this column, note that because the entire column is selected, including the heading, the data format that we choose will also change the format for the heading. And in this case, we don't want to do that. It was okay to do that with the date column because the word date is not a date. So changing the format to something date specific wasn't going to cause us a problem, but here it will. So I'm just going to hold the Command key down and click on type to ignore that. Obviously, another way I could have done this was just to select the first row and hold down the Shift key and select the last row. And that selects everything in between. Okay, with the cells selected, we're going to go over to the Format panel. And with Cell tab selected, which I'm already in, I'm going to go to Data Format down to Pop-up menu. So right away, this adds 3 default items to the pop-up. Note that it populated every single cell with those items, and it displays the first item. And that's because start with first item is turned on. We don't want that turned on. We want it to be blank so that you're forced to select a type for each log entry. So I'm going to change this to start with blank, and it should clear those out, and it did. So I'm going to enter my categories. I'm going to rename these simply by double clicking on them. And in the first one, I'm going to call it call internal. And in the second one, call sales. And then call support. And then I'm going to hit the plus sign to add another one. We'll call this documentation. And add another one, and we'll call it logging. And then another one to call it lunch and breaks. And one more, which can be miscellaneous. And the last one, project management. And these are all pretty generic terms, but these should be good enough for this tutorial. So now, if I click on any one of these cells, notice it has a drop-down arrow to the right. And if I click on that drop-down arrow, it shows me the list of items that we added. So whenever I go to type in a new log entry on this table, I can simply choose from this list the type of log entry that it is. Okay, so now let's set up the time column formatting. I'm just going to select all the rows in that column, go over to Data Format again under the Cell tab in the Format panel, and here I'm going to choose Duration. Now within duration, you've got a couple of options. You can just leave it as automatic units, which we don't want because we only want to enter in things in minutes. So we'll go over to custom units and just choose minutes. Well, we don't want day or hour. Obviously you can select multiple items. So if I selected day, hours, and minutes, you'll see you can type in 3 values in your duration. We only want to type in minutes. Now we also don't really care about the style. We know we're typing in minutes, so we don't need to display the M or the minutes. So we'll just change the style to 0. So if I select a time cell and I just type in some values, say 10 and 30, it doesn't look like it's doing anything different. These just look like numeric values. But the system does know that these are minutes and not just numbers. And that will become apparent when we sum the time column later on. So one more thing, because these are numeric values, it makes sense to right justify them rather than left justify them. So I'm going to select every cell in that column again, and under text and style, I'm going to choose right align. Now we can also make this column a lot narrower. So I'm going to do that right now and just drag that in. Since I'm here in the alignment section, I'm going to select the headings. And I want those headings to be centered. So I'm going to select them all and select center. I think that looks a little bit better. Of course, if you prefer it to stay left justified, you don't have to do that. This is just me. Now the next column I have here is customer, which you may or may not need. If you're in a situation where you do support or talk directly to customers, it may be important to put that customer information in this log sheet. Also, if your customer list is quite short and it doesn't really change that often, you could use a pop-up menu here as well. That way you don't have to constantly re-enter the customer names. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to leave the formatting of this column to be automatic, so it will just be text. The next column is reference, and this is another optional column. I'm just going to make that a little narrower. So reference, what you might use this for is if you are doing support, you may be using another system to track your support tickets, such as Jira or Zendesk or any other number of systems that are out there. So you may want to enter in that ticket ID here. So when you go to look back at this log sheet, you can see the specific ticket that any log entry might be referring to. And finally, we have the details column, which of course is just going to be the explanation or the description of each log entry. So the next thing we need to do is add a summary line. So I'm just going to go down here to row number 8. I'm going to select the entire row by selecting the first cell, holding the shift key down, and selecting the last cell. I want to change this background color to be a little darker. So I'm going to go to the Cell tab, and under Fill, it's currently set to multiple fill types because the first column has a darker color. So I'm just going to change this to Color Fill. I'm going to choose the first gray that we have in this swatch grid. So next, I want to sum up the time column and show that total in this day footer. So to do that, I'm going to select the time cell in the first row of this date, and then hold the shift key down and select the last cell. And numbers makes this easy. So I'm going to go down here and notice that it already has a sum function ready for me. I could do it from scratch, but we'll just use this. So I'm going to grab this sum function and just drag it to the cell where we want it, which is right there. And it's already got 40 in there, summing up the number of minutes. But we don't want to just show this in minutes, because if we did, a full day of 8 hours would be 480 minutes. And that's kind of hard to read and not very useful. We want to see this in hours and minutes. So, and that's easy to do. With this sum cell selected, I'm just going to go back over to cell. I'm already in there actually. And custom units is set to minutes. All we want to do is add hour to that. And as I already said previously, you can have multiple units selected, and notice that it puts in hours and minutes separated by a colon, and it did that here as well. So 0 hours and 40 minutes. So that's all we need to do for that. So I'm just going to clear these two values out just by highlighting them and pressing delete. Okay, so I'm going to add some values in here just so we can see how this works. I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to watch me type. Okay, so at this point, you can see the total is 5 hours and 15 minutes. Now, I do need to add a few more lines to fill out the day. I didn't leave enough empty rows. I only have one row left. So to add a new row, you can either right-click on the empty row and select Add Row Below, or I can hold the Option key down and press the down arrow to add another row below the selected row. I'm going to do that now. It added a row, but there's an important thing to note. In both of these cases, I was going to add a row after the last row. So the sum function, if I select this now, notice that that row I just added is not part of this function anymore. It's outside of the range of the selected rows. Now I can fix this just by grabbing this handle and dragging it down, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cancel this. I'm also going to press Command Z to undo the adding of that row. So an easy trick to avoid this is if you add a row above or below wherever your selected row is, as long as you do that within the selection range of the formula that's referring back to these rows, you'll be fine. So if I add a row above this, I'm holding down the Option key again and pressing the up arrow, I added a row above that. Because the row I was on was part of the selection, if I added it after, that's outside the selection, but adding it up or above remains within the selection, and the selected cells for that sum function will automatically adjust to include the row that we just added within that range. So if I go back to the sum function here, notice that everything is selected. They're all highlighted. So that's all you got to do. I mean, either way works as long as you remember to go in and fix it. Now also, if I want to add a third row, I could be here. If I do the Option down arrow from here, that's going to work because that's still inside the selection range. So if I click on the sum again, everything is highlighted. So whatever values I add to the time column, they will all be included in this sum function. Actually, while I'm here, I'm going to press Command B to make that bold. That looks a little better. I should also mention that when we added these new rows, the formatting and the pop-up menus were automatically copied from row to row. So you can see there's a pop-up menu in all three of those rows, and the formatting for these cells is still set to duration, custom units, and minutes. So when you add a new row in numbers, it will also duplicate any formatting that you might have in the current row you have selected. Very, very handy because that means I don't have to copy and paste the pop-up menu or the formatting. Okay, so I'm just going to finish entering in my log entries for the day. If you're new to Numbers, Numbers has some autocomplete functions just like Excel or any other spreadsheet would. So if I start typing in the same company name again, say Jim, it knows that that already exists in this column. And rather than typing out the whole thing, I can just hit the down arrow and select that and press return. Very handy. Okay, so those are the log entries for one day. I worked a total of 8 hours and 10 minutes. Now, there are other ways you can show duration. Sometimes you just want to use hours as your value instead of minutes. So for instance, if you wanted to type in 15 minutes, you would just type in 0.25, which is a quarter of an hour. Of course, that depends on how you want to see the data and how you want to enter it. But I figured having this as minutes is easier to follow and would be clearer to everyone. So the idea of this is really a running log. So you don't want to do a log sheet for every single day. Ideally, you could run this for the whole month or for an entire year. So as you go from day to day, Typically, you would just copy this date into the next day and update it accordingly, which is probably the simplest approach. Another way you can do it is with a formula. So in the next day, I'm going to type in the equal sign to bring up the formula editor. And I'm just going to choose the very first date in this table. And here in the drop-down arrow, I want to force this to never change. In other words, I want to preserve the row. So if I put this date down another 5 rows or 10 rows, we don't want this to move down 5 or 10 rows. We always want to refer back to this main date. So that's just preserving that by selecting that checkbox. And then we just want to type in +1 because we're adding a date to it. So if I hit return on that, it now says Sunday, October 22nd. So if I take this and copy it, say down here, notice that it still uses this date as its source date. That's what's selected. I can double click on it and just do a delete and type in 2, and that changes it to 2 days. So arguably that can be deemed a little easier to change a date because you can just constantly copy and paste and then just add 1 or 2 or whatever. Going from a Friday to a Monday, you would just add an additional 3 days. I'm just going to delete this because I don't need it there. So to copy the summary row, which is obviously going to be needed for the next day in the spreadsheet, I'm just going to highlight the whole row, press Command-C to copy it, and I'm just going to put it right here. And I don't have to select the entire row, just the first cell, press Command-V to paste, and it will paste it in. Now notice that I have 10 hours and 35 minutes. Well, what's happening here? If I click on it, it'll show me the range that it's selecting. So the range is including the same number of rows that the previous range had. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it should have 8 rows selected, which it does. Because I didn't make the number of rows between the summary lines the same, it's moving up to the previous day. And it's adding in the 8 hours and the 100 minutes and the 45 minutes. So that's why we have 10 hours and 35 minutes. Obviously, we don't want to do that. So in this situation, you do need to go and edit the range, double click, and it's very easy to do. Just grab that handle and drag it down. And now we only have the cells for this day selected. So I can click on this check mark or press return to accept the changes. And now it shows me 0. And if I were to add more rows, I would do the same thing I did in the previous day. I would add them above this row or below this one. So that's pretty much it. That's how you do a log sheet in Apple Numbers. It's a very simple but incredibly common use for spreadsheets. If you're creating a log, you're typically doing this with either Excel or something like Apple Numbers. And since a lot of people are now working from home, maintaining a log sheet is now becoming required for a lot of jobs. And as you just saw, it's very easy to set up in Apple Numbers. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I'm John Martins. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time on Apple a Day.